Hi, this is going to be a really quick demonstration video to show you how quick and easy it is to speed up your page load speed using WP Optimizer. Now there's one other thing I want to mention. I'm actually going to run the speed test on a couple of sites. The first isn't too bad, as although it is an old site with lots of content on it, it has had some optimization done in the past. The second site we're going to test, on the other hand, is one of my very oldest sites and is very unoptimized and more typical of what most non-techie WordPress user sites are like. I think you'll find the difference both quite interesting and maybe a little scary. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is run some speed tests, and we're going to use the Pingdom site and the GT Metrics site. And I'm simply going to pop in the URL for one of my demonstration WordPress testing sites and click on test your site. That's on GT Metrics. We'll let that start doing its job. Now we'll go across to Pingdom and we'll do the same thing here, pop in the same URL and click on start test. Now I'm going to pause the video while those tests run and come back once the results are in. Okay, so that took just a few seconds to run, and if I scroll down you can see we're getting a performance grade of C at 80 with a load time of 3.25 seconds. And if we go across to GT Metrics, you'll see we're getting a page speed of B, 86%, and a YSlow score of C, 72%, and a fully loaded time of 6.2 seconds. Now what we need to do is pop across to the website itself, add WP Optimizer, switch it on, click a couple of buttons, and then come back and rerun those tests. Now I also want to point out I've run the tests in a Chrome browser, and I'm actually going to go across to my Firefox browser where I'm logged into the website itself. The reason for this is when you're logged into WordPress, that can affect the speed test because you're actually logged in. So I'm making sure that I'm not logged in the Chrome browser where I'm running the speed tests. I've already installed and activated the WP Optimizer plugin and entered my license key. Now the three bits of optimization that we're going to look at in this demonstration is the lazy load images, the optimize images, and the bulk optimize images. So I'm going to open those three pages up separately. So let's go across to the lazy load images page, and all I need to do is switch that to on and click on save changes. Once that's updated, we can move on to the optimize images page. Now this is to switch on the automatic optimization feature so that whenever we post something with a new image, it will be optimized automatically. Now at this point you do need to enter an API from tinypng, and if you click on the link here it will open up tinypng.com in a different window. Now you get a free API for every different email address that you use, so you can get more than one, and the important part here is that for that free account you get up to 500 image optimization credits every month. So if you have lots of sites you may want to use more than one email, but for most people, once you're up and running, one email, one API will work. And the image optimization feature is already switched on, so I'm simply going to pop in my API. I'm going to blur that out on this video, providing I remember. And let's click on Save Changes to save that setting. And you can see once we've actually saved our API, it actually pops up with the number of free API usages we've got left this month. So we can straight away see what we got for free and whether we're going to go over that limit. Okay, let's move on to the bulk optimization page. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is quite an old site, so it has a lot of images on it that are unoptimized. And if I was to run through and do all of those in one bulk load, it would actually cost me because I'd go over that 500 free limit. So I'm not going to run them all. I'll probably just do 20 now, or maybe 25, something like that. And I can come back in on a regular basis and go through doing them month by month, using up those free credits. In fact, maybe let's increase that to 25, and let's click on Start Bulk Optimization, and I'll pause the video while this runs because it'll probably take a little while just to run through bulk optimizing 25 of those images. Okay, so that process is finished. It took around 30 seconds, so it's probably averaging about one image per second, and this site is not on a fast host. It's actually on shared hosting, so very much not a fast host. Okay, so with just those three pages, those three settings updated and changes done, let's head back to our other browser, to GT Metrics, and let's open a new page and rerun the speed test. I'm going to leave this page open with our old results and head across to a new GT Metrics page and pop our URL in again, etrades.net, click on test site. And while that's running, I'm going to go across to Pingdom. Here's our previous results. Remember, we were looking at 3.25 seconds. So let's go to a new Pingdom page, pop in the URL again and click on Start Test. And I'm just going to pause the video while we wait for these new results to come through. Okay, so Gmetrics has improved from 6.2 seconds to 3.4 seconds. That's almost a 50% improvement. Let's pop over and look at Pingdom. If you remember, we started at 3.25 seconds. The new report is at, let's scroll down and have a look, 2.57 seconds. So again, a significant improve on the load speed. I think that's what, around 22%. Now I want to show you why I chose this particular site as the first example for the speed optimization test from WP Optimiser. And it's down to one of the fundamentals that will always make a big difference to how fast your site loads. Now let's go to the site health check. It will make it very, very obvious what's going on with this particular site. Now, as mentioned earlier, this site is on a shared host. And for shared hosts, it's not actually as bad as most of them. I've had this particular hosting package for quite a few years. I'm about to get rid of it. I kept it specifically so that I could use this site for this demonstration. You'll see the problems are total system memory, you're down to a bare minimum. Total storage space, you're down to a bare minimum. Even the version of PHP isn't up to the latest version. It's not too bad, it's on 7, but it's not up to the latest version. This is the kind of problem that you face with shared hosting. You do need a good host. Even with WP Optimiser and something like Viper Cache as well, you still need a good host, because if the resources aren't there, if you're sharing these resources on your shared hosting with 1,000 other sites, you're always going to struggle. Okay, so let's pop back to our Chrome browser and a fresh GTmetrix page and a fresh Pingdom page, and let's start the process again with that other site that I mentioned. Okay, as you've already seen the process, I'm going to speed things up and run through this one fairly quickly. This is going to be a test on blogtactics.com. Let's click on Start Test and go across to Gmetrics and pop in the same URL. Now this site has been around since 2007 and it has quite a lot of posts and really isn't optimized very well at all. So I'm going to pause the video and come back as soon as the tests have finished running. And once the test is finished on Pingdom, we're getting a load time of 7.23 seconds. Let's go across to Gmetrics and have a look as well. On here we're looking at 8.8 seconds, so that really is painfully slow. That's going to turn away visitors. Remember, anything over 3 seconds, and not only are your visitors likely to hit the back button and leave your site, Google is also going to penalize you and give you lower rankings in the search engine results. So now we've popped across to Blog Tactics itself. Again, I've installed the plugin, I've licensed it, and all I'm going to do is run through the 3 different pages that we have: lazy load images, optimize images, and bulk optimize images. So I'm going to pause the video while I go through the same process of switching that on, the lazy load, and going through and popping in my API key, and I will also bulk optimize 30 or 40 images as well to make sure they're done. Then I'll come back and we'll run another speed test on this site. Okay, so I haven't optimized all the images, I just ran a bulk group of 30. Now let's head back to Gmetrics and let's pop across to a new Gmetrics box, pop in our domain name Blog Tactics and click on test site to run the test again. And let's do the same again for Pingdom. Click on Start Test and I'll pause while it actually runs the test because we're not the first in the queue. Okay, so we've got our results have come in and we've improved. I think we were at a C grade at 7.2 seconds. We're now down to 3.5 seconds and a grade B. So a massive improvement, again, almost 50% improvement. Now there is one final point on this particular site. This test is being run from North America. This site is actually hosted in the UK. So if I actually ran a speed test from a UK server, we will get entirely different results because the server is so much closer to where the test is being run from. So again, I'll pause for a second while that test finishes. And there we go, performance grade 100, A, load time under a second, 754 milliseconds. That is because we're now running the test locally to where the site is hosted. That is the final part of the puzzle. You need something like WP Optimiser to optimize your site as much as you can, but you also want to make sure that you're hosting locally to where the vast majority of your customers are going to be visiting from, because that's what will put that last piece of the puzzle in place to get you the really fast load speeds. Okay, let's also pop across to GT Metrics and check the score there. We were at 8.8 seconds for the fully loaded time. We're down to 2.4 seconds, and that's simply by reducing that total page size by optimizing those graphics. So again, a massive increase in page loads, and all down to just those 3 settings in WP Optimiser. Okay, so there's one last part of WP Optimiser that I want to show you, which is the Site Speed Profiler. And this is a graphical representation of what is taking time to load on your site. So it's a very quick way of working out if there are any delays, what is causing it, what is slowing down your site. For instance, if I scroll down here, you can see exactly which plugins I'm running and which are taking most of the time to actually get loaded. And you can see the breakdown for the complete page load speed and time as well. So basically a really quick and easy way to see if there is something slowing down your site speed, what it is, so that you can work out what to do about it. Okay, that is a quick demonstration of WP Optimiser, probably slightly longer than I anticipated, but it is really important to get across that site page load speed is so important both to your visitors and to your Google rankings. So having a way to speed it up in 3 simple setup tweaks with this WP Optimiser plugin makes so much sense. Your sites will load faster, you will get better rankings, and your visitors will hang around for longer to actually take action on your site.